Year after year, every single Formula One fan asks themselves the same question. Will Red Bull finally mount a title challenge against Mercedes, and more specifically Lewis Hamilton, to give us a closer title battle? And guess what? It's that time of year yet again. There seems to be a really strange pattern that has developed with Red Bull over the past few years. There's no doubt that they don't get enough credit for being an incredibly consistent team that in the last decade has always been a top team capable of race wins and has never dropped into the midfield. But they also have been frustratingly stuck in the same constant cycle. They always seem to start the season a step behind the likes of Mercedes and even Ferrari from time to time, and by the midpoint of the season and definitely in the last third, they seem to be right up there and more competitive than they were at the beginning. The only problem is that by then the gap in points to Mercedes is way too high for them to catch up, and also by then Lewis Hamilton has the driver's title half in his pocket. If you look at the last 4 seasons since 2017 as a percentage of the total amount of points scored for the entire season, here is what Red Bull scored in the first half of the season if you split the races in half compared to the second. In 2017 they finished with a total of 368 points at the end of the season, scoring 47.3% in the first half and 52.7% in the second. In 2018 they finished the season with 419 points, scoring 47.5% in the first half and 52.5% in the second. In 2019 they had 417 points and again scored 45.8 in the first half and 54.2% in the second. And even last year they finished on 319 points, scoring 49.5% in the first half and 50.5% in the second. And even though the percentages from 2020 might seem small and possibly to some people inconsequential, if you look back at 2020, the 2 races in which Red Bull were genuinely really strong and competitive in both qualifying and the race was Turkey and Abu Dhabi, which were both at the very end of the season. So once again in 2021, the final year of these regulations, are Red Bull going to be contenders and at least push Mercedes in the title hunt, or are they going to be pretenders, starting slow and turning up late when the title is already beyond their reach? The best way to attack this is by looking at it from both sides. So let's start off on the positive side and talk about why 2021 will be their best chance yet to finally be contenders. When it comes to their car for 2021, the RB16B, the fact that it is a direct carryover from last year, I think will actually be an advantage to Red Bull. Whilst last season their car was not bad by any means, I mean it was comfortably the second best car in the field, from the very beginning of the season it was still about half a second behind the Mercedes in terms of raw pace, and at low speeds the car was also a little bit twitchy at the rear, which despite what many people said didn't exactly suit Max Verstappen or Alex Albon. It was just that Max was able to cope with it a lot better than Alex. The team however did a great job at developing the car and closing the gap by the end of the season. Not only did the car seem to be very strong in wet conditions, as evidenced by the Turkey Grand Prix weekend as a whole, in which Red Bull seemed to have the strongest package and definitely let a win slip through their fingers, but by the time we got to the final race in Abu Dhabi, not only did Verstappen put it on pole position, but he dominated the race from start to finish, and even Alex had easily his cleanest and strongest weekend of the entire season. So, given that they were so strong in that last race of the season, and on a track by the way that had been won by a Mercedes in every single season since 2014, hopefully Red Bull have now fully understood their concept and got on top of all of the issues that both of the drivers have, and will be able to carry that momentum that they built at the very end of last year into the 2021 season. The next thing to be hopeful about is the drivers. Now, although it was sad to see Alex struggle last year, and I do hope that he can make a comeback to F1 in 2022, because despite everything that happened, I still maintain that he is a solid driver and worthy of a seat in Formula 1. replacing him with a driver like Sergio Perez, who has been on the grid for almost a decade and is easily one of the most silently consistent performers, was, in my opinion, a great choice, because not only does it shake things up a little bit at the team and give Max Verstappen a new challenge which will make him a better driver, but Sergio is not just a driver who has a lot of experience, he is a driver with very thick skin and has proved time and time again, whether it would be fighting for podiums or even race wins in the case of last year in a midfield car, he can handle the pressure of having to deliver in big moments. I think given what Checo has also been throughout his career, given what he learned from his one very brief season at McLaren, and given the fact that being in a top team for a driver who's never really gotten the real chance to compete for consistent podiums and potential race wins, there is no bigger motivation, and I think Sergio will be fully focused and fully aware of the pressure and expectation he's going to be up against in 2021. When it comes to the results for Checo, if Red Bull want to be real title challengers, then to me Sergio has to get at least 6 podiums and 2 race wins over the course of the 23 race season. He can't just be the supporting act at Red Bull, he has to be able to push and beat Max in certain races. The other thing that Red Bull have going for them is the team itself. Red Bull is an A1 organization. Their pit crews are the best on the grid every single season. Their strategists are extremely reliable under pressure. And yes, despite the criticisms that people do throw at him, Christian Horner is a great team principal. Is he perfect? No. Does he make mistakes? Absolutely. But there is a very good reason why this man led Red Bull to 4 consecutive constructors titles in the last decade, and there's also a very good reason why he has been the longest serving team principal on the current grid by a very long margin. He makes the tough decisions even when they are not popular, he motivates the people around him, and he knows how to push the egos of big drivers like Vettel and Verstappen to get the best out of them. And lastly, if you look at the other teams around Red Bull, unlike in 2017 and 2018 where Red Bull had to also contend with Ferrari and not just Mercedes, like last year Ferrari will still be playing the catch-up game, and as for the likes of McLaren and Alpine, theoretically barring a huge leap in performance, the gap looking at the end of last season is still too big for them to be consistent podium contenders and a real threat to Red Bull, although that would certainly spice up the season. In reality for Red Bull, the road is very clear, with Mercedes being the only team in the way of a title, and the team need to use that as positivity and motivation to make sure that they are the team that are title contenders in 2021. So now let's look at the other side and talk about why Red Bull for yet another season will just be title pretenders and fall short yet again. Now, the first thing and most important is the car. Now, although I mentioned this as a positive previously in the video, and I do genuinely think that Red Bull at the very least will maintain their place as the second best team on the grid, many people might point to the fact that the gap between Red Bull and Mercedes, which seemed to be closing in the second half of last season, is actually a false positive, because Mercedes stopped bringing updates to their car after the Belgium Grand Prix, which was only the 7th race into the 17 race calendar. Now, I think for Red Bull, they have to look at the bright side and say that whilst Mercedes started work on their new chassis, the W12, early, since the RB16B is a carryover car from last year, Red Bull have technically been developing their 2021 car for well over a year now, and it's just a case of getting the 2021 aero changes right and adapting it to the package that they and Max are very familiar with, and which was getting better throughout all of last year. In the end, we'll see pretty early on whether the right choice was to carry over the RB16, or if Mercedes' decision to start on their entirely new chassis was the right choice. But one thing that is definitely certain is that if Red Bull do not win at least one race in the opening 4 or 5 races, then for me, any talk of a title challenge will be immediately over, because Mercedes are not the type of team to get complacent about developing their car over the course of the entire season. The next reason, and the thing that will be standing in the way of Red Bull, is Lewis Hamilton, the man that has been standing in the way of everyone for the past 7 years. Now, even if Red Bull build a good enough car and Max Verstappen in particular is able to give Lewis a fight for the title, Lewis is a 7-time world champion for a reason, and head-to-head against Max, I think Lewis, with the fact that he's driving better than ever before, and with all of his years of experience of winning championships and being in title battles, but also learning from mistakes that he's made, unless Red Bull have a sizable car advantage, I'd still back Hamilton over the course of a whole season. If and when Red Bull get to that bridge, it will be a mental battle more than anything for Max in particular. For the first time in his career, he'll be dealing with pressure like never before, trying to lead a team in a title battle and then trying to match the relentless consistency that Lewis has been producing and the mental strain that Lewis can give. Just because Max is one of the quickest, if not the quickest driver on the grid at the moment, it doesn't mean that the moment he gets a good enough car that he will win the title at the very first time of asking. Even for great drivers, sometimes that first real title battle doesn't always end up with them winning it. For example, Lewis in 2007 losing by 1 point, or even Seb in 2009 when he was chasing Button in the second half of the season. Both of them have talked about how much it hurt to lose those first titles, and they've also talked about how losing those titles made them stronger and better drivers, and it will be interesting to see if Max can clinch a title at the very first time of asking, or if it will just be a little bit too much to win it first time against a machine like Hamilton. Either way, even if you are a Red Bull fan or not, I think all F1 fans want to see Lewis and Mercedes being pushed harder. But as with everything, it's not about Mercedes and Lewis slowing down and making it easier for everyone else, it's about all of the other teams and all of the other drivers raising their game. Me personally, I do have more hope for Red Bull than I did in previous seasons, and although I do still have my doubts, I think I speak for everyone in saying that I really do hope that Red Bull can stop being pretenders and finally give their drivers a car capable of being title contenders in 2021. So guys, there you go. That is my video on Red Bull ahead of the 2021 season. Now, let me know all of your thoughts in the comments box below. Do you think Red Bull can finally be title contenders for the first time since 2013? Or is this just going to be another season where Red Bull kind of falls short, especially at the beginning, and turn up too late? Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments box below. Now, if you did enjoy this video, then don't forget to drop it a like. And if you want to support the channel, then don't forget to smash that subscribe button as well. Anyway, guys, I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys.